So, Princess Anne is now reportedly holding full authority over key palace responsibilities, and the story of how that happened appears to have many layers. The official narrative is that King Charles made the significant decision to hand her the reins. However, when you compare what has been reported with what has actually been happening over the past year, it feels less like a sudden twist and more like the most logical course of action. In fact, the way this has been presented as a dramatic, overnight decision may be the most intriguing part of the story. Before we dive in, be sure to subscribe to UK Update so you don't miss any updates on this story. Let's begin with the timeline because that's where things become particularly interesting. King Charles received his cancer diagnosis in early 2024, and almost immediately, the palace began quietly adjusting to the new reality. Publicly, everything remained calm and reassuring. Official statements consistently emphasized that the king was in good spirits and continuing with his duties. Behind the scenes, however, something was clearly changing. During that period, Princess Anne quietly stepped in to represent her brother at numerous official engagements whenever King Charles had to cancel appearances for treatment. She attended ceremonies, fulfilled public commitments, and effectively ensured that the crown remained visible while the king focused on his health. This wasn't an occasional effort. Throughout 2024, Princess Anne carried out more than 217 public engagements, the highest number completed by any senior working royal that year. Remarkably, she achieved this despite suffering a concussion following a riding accident. She fell from a horse, sustained a head injury, recovered, and returned to work, ultimately completing more engagements than anyone else in the royal family. That isn't the story of someone suddenly stepping up. It's the story of someone who has spent decades fulfilling her duties and simply continued doing so when circumstances became more challenging. So, when reports began circulating about a dramatic late-night meeting at Buckingham Palace, an unscheduled private audience where King Charles supposedly summoned Princess Anne to grant her full authority, my first reaction was one of skepticism. What exactly changed? From the outside, it already looked as though Princess Anne had been running a significant portion of the royal family's responsibilities. The reported meeting has been described in dramatic terms. Palace aides were reportedly cleared from the corridors, and the meeting did not appear on any official schedule. There was no press release and no carefully worded statement describing it as routine royal business. It's easy to understand why that sounds so dramatic. Buckingham Palace is one of the most meticulously scheduled institutions in the world. Every engagement is logged, briefed, and coordinated through multiple layers of staff. An unscheduled late-night meeting with the corridors cleared of personnel would certainly be unusual. If such a meeting took place, it would naturally attract attention because it suggests that those involved wanted a private discussion away from unnecessary scrutiny. However, it's worth setting aside the intrigue for a moment and considering what makes the most practical sense. King Charles has been dealing with a serious health challenge. Reports have described him as visibly exhausted, but not uncertain, and that distinction is important. Exhaustion is a physical condition, while uncertainty is a question of leadership and decision-making. Although the king may be managing the physical effects of illness, relying more heavily on Princess and appears to be part of a long-established pattern rather than a sudden decision made overnight. The evidence for that stretches back well before these recent reports. At his coronation in May 2023, King Charles appointed Princess Anne as gold stick-in-waiting, entrusting her with a prominent ceremonial role. She rode on horseback at the head of approximately 6,000 members of the armed forces as they escorted the king through London. It was both a symbolic and deeply personal gesture, reflecting the confidence he placed in his sister during one of the most important moments of his reign. Later that same year, Princess Anne was also appointed as a counselor of state, allowing her to carry out certain official duties on behalf of the monarch when required. Traditionally, these roles are filled by the monarch's spouse and eligible adults in the line of succession, but King Charles ensured that his sister was included. It was a deliberate decision that underscored the trust he had in her. Viewed in that context, the reported decision to grant Princess Anne broader authority feels less like a shocking development and more like the formal recognition of responsibilities she has already been carrying for years. The real change, if there is one, is that her role may now be more clearly defined and more comprehensive. The foundation for that responsibility, however, had been established long before these latest reports emerged. The reported late-night meeting brings us to what may be the more interesting question. Why Princess Anne? Why not Prince William? Why not Queen Camilla? If someone were to delegate significant palace responsibilities, the obvious choices might seem to be the heir to the throne or the monarch's spouse. However, when you look more closely at the relationships and long-standing dynamics within the royal family, the reasoning behind choosing Princess Anne becomes much easier to understand. To appreciate that, it's worth looking at the relationship between King Charles and Princess Anne. The two were born just 21 months apart, King Charles in November 1948 and Princess Anne in August 1950. Their close age meant they became each other's earliest companions in a world that very few people could truly understand. Growing up as royal children came with extraordinary expectations and limited personal freedom. With their parents frequently away on official royal tours, Charles and Anne spent much of their childhood together. They played, studied, and explored the palace grounds side by side. While they lacked the freedom enjoyed by most children, they had each other's company, making the highly structured life of royalty a little easier to navigate. Those formative years created a lifelong bond. King Charles was often described as thoughtful, sensitive, and deeply interested in art, nature, and music. Princess Anne, by contrast, was known for her confidence, straightforward manner, and practical approach to life. Where Charles sometimes hesitated and was decisive, where he questioned himself, she often provided reassurance and strength. Rather than driving them apart, their contrasting personalities complemented one another. One of the clearest examples of that relationship came during King Charles's years at Gordonstown, the Scottish boarding school his father insisted he attend. Charles famously struggled there, later describing the experience as extremely difficult. The harsh climate, demanding discipline, and isolation made those years particularly challenging for him. Throughout that period, Princess Anne remained one of the few people in whom he could truly confide. She listened without judgment, supported him, and reportedly defended him from teasing within royal circles. That level of loyalty was especially meaningful within a family where duty often took precedence over personal emotion. As adults, their close relationship continued through many of life's greatest challenges. During the 1980s and 1990s, when King Charles's troubled marriage to Princess Diana dominated headlines around the world, Princess Anne remained one of his most trusted sources of support, standing by her brother through a period of intense public and personal scrutiny. Throughout that difficult period, Princess Anne did not publicly take sides or add to the media speculation surrounding King Charles. She avoided interviews, stayed away from gossip, and instead offered her brother quiet, steadfast support. She stood beside him during one of the most challenging periods of his public life, not simply as a fellow royal, but as a sister who understood the pressures he faced. More recently, following the deaths of their parents, Princess Anne and King Charles have frequently appeared together at significant royal events. They walked side by side during Queen Elizabeth II's funeral procession and were seen exchanging private words during memorial services. In those deeply emotional moments, their shared grief was evident, as was the comfort they found in one another's presence. So, when people ask why Princess Anne rather than someone else, part of the answer may simply be that she has known King Charles longer than anyone else in the royal family. She has witnessed both his greatest challenges and his finest moments, and throughout it all, her support has remained unwavering. That kind of trust cannot be created through titles or royal protocol alone. There is, however, another important reason. Princess Anne has long earned a reputation within the royal family as someone who brings stability and order during difficult times. Often described as the family's backbone, she has built that reputation through decades of consistent public service and dedication. She undertook her first official royal tour at just 19 years old, accompanying her parents on a month-long visit to Australia and New Zealand. That same year, in 1970, she became president of Save the Children UK. Rather than simply lending her name to the organization, She actively participated in its work by traveling extensively, delivering speeches, and visiting communities facing poverty and hardship around the world. For nearly 5 decades, Princess Anne used her position to advocate for meaningful causes, earning widespread respect both within the United Kingdom and internationally. Queen Elizabeth II reportedly viewed Anne's tireless commitment as an important form of diplomacy, demonstrating that the crown remained connected to the people it served and retained a compassionate, human face. At times when other members of the royal family have faced controversy or public criticism, Princess Anne has largely maintained a reputation for quiet professionalism. She has never sought the spotlight or pursued celebrity. Instead, she has consistently focused on carrying out her duties with dedication and discipline. That reputation is reflected in public opinion, where Princess Anne has consistently ranked among the most respected and positively viewed senior members of the royal family. Public opinion has consistently reflected Princess Anne's reputation for duty and reliability. Surveys have often shown that around 70% of people in Britain hold a favorable view of her, placing her among the most respected members of the royal family. She is frequently ranked just behind Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, in public popularity. That standing is about more than likability, it reflects trust. Few senior royals have managed to maintain such consistently positive public approval while largely avoiding tabloid controversy. Her strong reputation reinforces the perception that she is a steady and dependable figure within a family that has often faced periods of change and public scrutiny. When viewed in that context, the idea of King Charles entrusting Princess Anne with greater responsibility seems far less surprising. In many ways, it appears to be the most logical choice. Prince William is the heir to the throne, but he also has a young family and significant responsibilities of his own. His preparation for kingship is a long-term process. Queen Camilla, meanwhile, serves as queen consort, a role that differs constitutionally from that of a counselor of state. Her position is to support the monarch rather than formally act on the monarch's behalf in the same capacity. Princess Anne, on the other hand, is already a counselor of state. She has the constitutional authority, decades of public service, widespread public trust, and by many accounts, King Charles's complete personal confidence. Given those factors, it would be entirely understandable if the king relied heavily on her during challenging times. There is, however, another aspect of this story that has attracted attention because it adds a different dimension to the discussion. There have been media reports suggesting occasional tension between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla. If those reports are accurate, they could offer additional context for why Princess Anne's expanded role has generated so much interest. According to some reports, during a royal banquet, Princess Anne allegedly made a pointed remark to Queen Camilla, saying, "You are the queen consort, not the queen." The reports claim that the room fell silent afterward. Whether those exact words were ever spoken remains unverified, and there is no official confirmation that such an exchange took place. However, the reported sentiment is often linked to Princess Anne's well-known respect for royal tradition and protocol. Princess Anne was famously devoted to Queen Elizabeth II, who announced before her Platinum Jubilee that Camilla would be known as Queen Consort when King Charles became monarch. Many commentators have viewed that designation as an acknowledgement of constitutional tradition and the lasting legacy of Princess Diana. According to the reports, Princess Anne was reminding Queen Camilla of the distinction between the role of queen consort and that of a reigning queen. Since these claims have not been officially confirmed, they should be regarded as media reports rather than established fact. According to these reports, Princess Anne is said to have reminded Queen Camilla on more than one occasion, "The Queen said you should remain queen consort." That's what she wanted. The same reports allege that Queen Camilla had been expanding her influence within the royal family and playing a larger role in its internal affairs. What may once have been quiet speculation was portrayed as an unspoken difference of opinion, reflected in private conversations and subtle interactions. At the center of this reported dynamic was King Charles, balancing the perspectives of a sister devoted to preserving Queen Elizabeth II's legacy and a wife helping shape the future of the monarchy. It is important to emphasize, however, that these claims originate from anonymous palace sources and have not been independently verified. Without official confirmation, they should be treated as speculation rather than established fact. If the reports were accurate, they would add another layer of significance to King Charles's reported decision to give Princess Anne greater responsibility. Such a move would not simply be a practical response to his health challenges. It could also be interpreted as a reflection of the confidence he places in Princess Anne's judgment regarding the institution of the monarchy. Under that interpretation, entrusting Princess Anne with greater authority would suggest that, in the king's absence, her experience and judgment would carry considerable weight in managing key palace responsibilities. Some commentators have suggested that this could explain why the reported meeting, if it occurred, was described as private, unscheduled, and without the usual palace announcements. However, there is no official confirmation regarding either the meeting itself or the decisions allegedly made during it. Beyond the reported palace dynamics, there is also a practical aspect to Princess Anne's position, particularly regarding family estates and finances. Princess Anne lives at Gatcombe Park, a 730-acre estate in Gloucestershire that Queen Elizabeth II purchased in 1976. At the time, the property reportedly cost between £500,000 and £750,000. Today, its estimated value is around £15 million. The estate includes a historic manor house, extensive stables, and several additional residences occupied by members of the family, including Zara Tindall and Peter Phillips. Princess Anne is widely expected to continue managing and preserving the estate as an important part of her family's heritage. Princess Anne is widely expected to leave Gatcombe Park to her children. However, transferring an estate of that size could present significant inheritance tax considerations. In the United Kingdom, inheritance tax is generally charged at 40% on the value of an estate above the applicable tax-free threshold, although the exact amount payable depends on the estate's circumstances and the reliefs available. If Zara Tindall and Peter Phillips were to inherit Gatcombe Park, the estate could potentially face a substantial inheritance tax liability. Ordinarily, inheritance tax must be paid within 6 months following the end of the month in which the owner dies, making estate planning an important consideration for families with valuable assets. There are, however, several legal strategies that may reduce or defer the tax burden. One of the most significant is the spousal exemption. If Princess Anne's estate were left to her husband, Sir Timothy Lawrence, the transfer would generally be exempt from inheritance tax because assets passed between spouses or civil partners are typically free from inheritance tax under UK law. The surviving spouse could continue to own the property without an immediate inheritance tax charge, and unused tax allowances may also be transferred to the surviving spouse's estate. Another important consideration is the combination of the nil rate band and the residence nil rate band, which can increase the amount that may be passed to direct descendants free of inheritance tax, provided the relevant eligibility requirements are met. Making lifetime gifts is another commonly used estate planning strategy. Under UK tax rules, gifts made during a person's lifetime can become exempt from inheritance tax if the donor survives for at least 7 years after making the gift. Gradually transferring assets over time may therefore reduce the eventual taxable value of an estate. Trusts may also form part of an estate planning strategy. For example, a discretionary trust can allow assets to be managed by trustees for the benefit of future generations, although the tax treatment of trusts is complex and depends on the specific circumstances. In addition, if parts of Gatcombe Park are actively used for qualifying agricultural purposes, portions of the estate may be eligible for agricultural property relief, which can reduce or eliminate inheritance tax on qualifying agricultural land and property, provided the legal conditions are satisfied. Taken together, these options illustrate that estate planning for a property such as Gatcombe Park is far more complex than simply calculating a single inheritance tax bill. The final tax outcome would depend on the structure of the estate, the ownership arrangements, and the reliefs available under UK law. The royal family has several options available when planning for the future of Gatcombe Park. The estate holds immense sentimental value for Princess Anne and her children, Zara Tindall and Peter Phillips, making it highly unlikely that the property would be sold. Instead, any transition would almost certainly require careful long-term planning. Estate planning naturally becomes more significant during periods of uncertainty, particularly when the head of the family is facing a serious health challenge and the distribution of royal responsibilities is evolving. That brings us to Sir Timothy Lawrence, an important yet often overlooked figure within the royal family. For decades, Sir Timothy Lawrence has remained a quiet but constant presence in Britain's royal circle. His name rarely dominates newspaper headlines, and he has consistently maintained a low public profile. He is neither a prince nor someone who actively seeks public attention. Those who closely follow the royal family often note that discretion is highly valued within the House of Windsor, and Sir Timothy has embodied that principle throughout his life. Born in 1955, Sir Timothy Lawrence built his career on discipline and public service. After graduating from the University of Durham, he pursued a distinguished career in the Royal Navy, steadily rising through its ranks. Former colleagues have frequently described him as methodical, courteous, professional, and exceptionally discreet. During the 1980s, Sir Timothy Lawrence was appointed as an equerry to Queen Elizabeth II, serving within the royal household. In that role, he helped organize official schedules, accompanied the Queen during engagements, and gained first-hand experience of the careful balance between public duty and private confidentiality that defines royal service. It was while carrying out those responsibilities that he became acquainted with Princess Anne. At the time, Princess Anne's marriage to Captain Mark Phillips was coming to an end, attracting significant media attention. Amid that difficult period, Sir Timothy Lawrence became a trusted companion. His calm, disciplined, and dependable nature reportedly provided stability during a challenging chapter of her life. Over time, their professional respect developed into a personal relationship. In 1992, Princess Anne and Sir Timothy Lawrence married in a modest ceremony at Crathy Kirk, near Balmoral Castle. Unlike many royal weddings, the ceremony was intentionally understated, emphasizing privacy and sincerity over grandeur and pageantry. From the very beginning of their marriage, Sir Timothy Lawrence embraced royal life with remarkable discretion, choosing service over publicity and quietly supporting Princess Anne throughout her decades of public duty. Following his marriage to Princess Anne, Sir Timothy Lawrence did not receive a princely title or assume a formal constitutional role within the monarchy. Instead, he became known simply as the Princess Royal's husband, a figure who remained out of the spotlight while offering steadfast support. Over the decades, Sir Timothy Lawrence has accompanied Princess Anne through state occasions, overseas tours, funerals, and periods of family difficulty. Rather than seeking public attention, he has consistently maintained a quiet presence, earning a reputation for loyalty, discretion, and dependability. To the public, he has often appeared as a background figure. Within royal circles, however, he is widely regarded as a trusted and reliable supporter of Princess Anne. More recently, King Charles appointed Sir Timothy Lawrence as a Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, GCVO, one of the highest honors within the Royal Victorian Order. The award recognized his decades of dedicated service to the Crown and the royal household. Many royal commentators viewed the timing of this honor as particularly noteworthy, coming alongside reports of Princess Anne's expanded responsibilities. While there is no official indication that the two developments are directly connected, some observers have interpreted the recognition as further acknowledgement of the couple's long-standing commitment to public service. Within the traditions of the monarchy, honors often carry symbolic significance, although the precise intentions behind royal decisions are rarely stated publicly. So, where does that leave the broader picture? We have King Charles, who continues to receive treatment while carrying out his constitutional responsibilities. We have Princess Anne, whose decades of public service have reinforced her reputation as one of the monarchy's most dependable working royals. We have Queen Camilla, whose constitutional role remains that of Queen Consort. We have Prince William, the heir to the throne, continuing to prepare for his future responsibilities while balancing his own public duties and family life. And we have Gatcombe Park, an estate whose eventual succession will require careful long-term financial and legal planning. Some media reports have portrayed recent developments as a dramatic turning point within the royal family. However, When viewed against the backdrop of King Charles's long-standing trust in Princess Anne, her decades of dedicated service, and her established constitutional responsibilities, the situation appears less like a sudden upheaval and more like the continuation of a relationship and pattern of responsibility that has evolved over many years. It is important to distinguish between verified facts and media speculation. While King Charles's health, Princess Anne's public service, and Sir Timothy Lawrence's recent honor are matters of public record, claims regarding secret meetings, private conversations, or internal palace disagreements remain unconfirmed and should be treated as speculation unless officially verified. When you look back at the relationship between King Charles and Princess Anne from their childhood years to the present day, the picture becomes much clearer. Princess Anne's decades of public service, her constitutional role as a counselor of state, her strong public reputation, and her standing as one of the royal family's most dependable figures all help explain why such a decision would make sense. Rather than appearing as a shocking development, it begins to look like the natural continuation of a role she has already been fulfilling for many years. The most significant point may be that this is not simply about titles, ceremonies, or palace politics. It is about trust. King Charles appears to be relying on the person he knows to be dependable during uncertain times. That person happens to be his sister, not because of drama or speculation, but because Princess Anne has spent decades proving her commitment to duty and service. Reports about a private midnight meeting, cleared corridors, or confidential discussions may create a dramatic narrative, but the deeper story is much simpler. Behind the headlines and speculation is a long history of loyalty, responsibility, and family connection. When the pressure was greatest, King Charles turned to someone who has been by his side since childhood, Princess Anne.